A good closer will overcome objections. A great closer prevents them. What I want to talk to you guys about is your close. How are you closing the deal? What are you doing to have preventative acts for the close of the deal? And I believe that all this happens from the opening. When I introduce myself to a homeowner at the door, something that I do very different than most people do is I talk about the entire process as I continually point to their roof or their gutter line or whatever area that I can identify that's damaged from the ground. I start to talk about how I work hand in hand with the insurance company to create the proper scope of work report, how I'm going to do a full 30-point inspection, and I don't just stop there. I start to explain what a 30-point inspection looks like. I'm going to check out areas near the flashing. I'm going to check out areas by the chimneys. I'm going to check out each elevation, how I'm going to take the photos, the front elevation, the right elevation, the rear elevation, how the insurance company boxes off a 10 by 10 area on the roof. That's 100 square feet. And I give just enough information about the process from the beginning that the homeowner understands that I'm an educated individual coming in to do a thorough 30-point inspection of their roof, gutters, siding, and windows. This is important. Now, of course, you have to build some affinity at the beginning of this conversation, begin to talk with some things that interest them. Because one thing is that everyone is not a roofer, so roofs do not interest them. Knowing about felt versus synthetic underlayment is not an interesting topic for most people. So finding something to relate to. And a good example that I can give you of finding something to relate to, I remember I was training this sales team. I believe we were in like Arvada, Colorado. There was 4 people out there that were inexperienced sales reps that were in training, and they were eager to go knock doors. I think the one guy had a couple of months in the industry, so he basically knew how to identify hail damage, identify wind damage, and a couple other key factors which are important. And then there was 3 people that were within their first week. I remember my friend Whitney, that was the day she got her first sale. And then there was another experienced sales person that was out there that had been in the industry for some time. Now, I noticed this gentleman outside washing his Corvette. Now, the funny thing is, I don't know very much about vehicles, but I do know what a Corvette looks like. So I began to talk to him about his Corvette. Now, while everyone went and knocked in this neighborhood, what happened was a couple of them got on roofs, but I literally spoke to the one person that was outside about what interests them the most. And it turned out they had like some sort of 1930s hot rod as well as some sort of Nova in the garage as well. So as we spoke about his 3 vehicles, it began to come out in the process. I hadn't attempted to go on the roof. I hadn't spoke to him about the roof. I explained that I was overseeing the people that were knocking on the doors. I left there that day with 3 contracts. I spoke to one homeowner. Everyone else knocked on 30, 40, 50 doors apiece. One person left with the contract other than myself. What was different about what I did? Well, it didn't hurt that the guy not only owned 3 nice cars, but he also owned 3 properties, one of which was a wood shake. But what I did was I began to build affinity and I began to build rapport with this homeowner about his vehicles. I let him educate me about something. So in turn, he was more apt to listen when I began to educate him about his roof and his gutters and the damage and the severity of the storm. I ended up getting 2 of the 3 properties bought. The other one was still, fighting with State Farm Insurance. It's very important when you are setting up the deal from the beginning that you have the end in mind. So you always want to begin with the end in mind. So when I go in, I know that I'm going to talk about something that gives him free reign, so I can begin to ask what I call restrictive questions. You have open ended questions, which allow somebody to go in any direction, and then you have close ended questions, which will bring a yes or a no. But I like to ask questions that are restrictive, which can only give one or two options for an answer. In that, I allow them to still feel like they have a certain amount of control in the process. However, I'm really leading them to all of the possible objections that they might have. Again, a good closer will overcome objections, but a great closer is going to prevent them. So I would like you to stop and take a thought for a minute. What are you doing to prevent? What preventative actions are you having in your closing process? My name's Eli King. I'm everyone's favorite roofing contractor. I own a company called The Roofing Broker. And if you would like some more tips, I want you to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, and we are going to educate you on the roofing sales process. Stay tuned.